You're listening to the Third Coast Gridiron on the LSG Network with your host, Marc Henry.
H-Town, it's up, man. It's almost playoff time. You know what that means. The Third Coast is going to bring you the latest in what's going on in high school football in the H, man. I can smell it in the air. It's like Phil Collins. I can feel it coming in the air every night. Playoff time. It's going down. I'm your host, Marc Henry, here on the Third Coast Gridiron. Brought to you by the Lone Star Gridiron Network, the authority for high school football, man. Sorry I had to break it down for you a little bit. Shout out to Phil Collins, man. It's in the air. H-Town. We're going to talk playoff scenarios, a couple of big matchups. In week 11, man, it's going down, man. Tap in each week right here. We're in season 6 of the Third Coast Gridiron. I am your host, Marc Henry. We'll take a small break. We're going to jump right into the show and talk about a little bit of week 10. And then we're going to talk about week 11 and the playoff matchups right in the H, man. A couple state-ranked teams might be battling. It's going down right here in H-Town. I am your host, Marc Henry, right here on the Third Coast Gridiron, the TCG. We'll be right back.
Lone Star Gridiron is looking for interns. Over the years, we have helped dozens of students get jobs in sports media. If you want to shortcut your path to a career in sports media, click on the internship link on LoneStarGridiron.com.
Man, it's up right here on the TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron. One of the teams that we've been talking about, they've maybe been flying under the radar, Madison, the Marlins, 8-1, 7-0 in district. Man, this is one of those teams that you might want to watch out for in the playoffs. They were 3-7 last year, but they are on their way. They claimed at least a share of the first district title since 2016. They got a big victory over Wall Trip last week, 49-26. This is 10-5 AD1. They got a 1-game lead over Westbury, who's been balling out of control as well. They're 7-1. They got a matchup against Sharpstown, which is more favorable to Westbury, man. Now I like both of these teams. Of course, you know, every week, man, if you've been listening to the show, I'm going to tell you, man, we're going to talk about HISD around here because I'm an HISD product myself. Shout out to Booker T. Washington. But listen, man, I think that, I think that Madison has a chance to make some noise in the playoffs. So does Westbury. They've had a good season as well. Dontrell Fisher's been a star on both sides of the football. You know what I'm saying? They've won 7 consecutive games. Their only loss was to J.Y. Yates, which I know is going to be a playoff team. I think J.Y. is going to get out the first round of the playoffs this year. I'm telling you right now. You heard it right here on the Third Coast. But you know what I'm saying? I like what Madison's doing, man. Of course, you know, they got one of the best players in the area in Dontrell Fisher. He's a two-way standout. He had 5 catches for 171 yards and a tutty, and also recorded 8 tackles and forced 2 fumbles and recovered 1 on D. Danzel Bloodworth passed for 268 yards and 2 scores. Andre Muhammad got busy on the defensive side as well with 15 tackles, 6 for loss. Larry Carrington, DeAndre Columbus, and Darius Hall, also guys that have been balling for Madison. Watch out for the Marlins. I'm telling you right now, they got a chance to get into the playoffs and make some noise. Shout out to Davis, man, over in the Aldine area, man. Shout out to my guy, Coach C, Coach Penrice, and all those guys over there. I had a chance to meet those guys when they were over at Booker T. Washington a few years ago, and they're 5-1 on the season. They got a chance to do some big things. They had a big one over Westfield a couple of weeks ago. You know, like I said, man, Coach C's been doing a phenomenal job with Davis. The Falcons have won 6 of their last 7 after starting 0-2. They've posted 3 shutouts, and they're only giving up 12 points a game in district play. I like what Davis is doing, man. Keep doing your thing, man. I'm gonna have to get Coach C on the show, man, as they go into the playoffs. Say that, stamp that, done deal. We're gonna get that, make that happen as we go into the playoffs right here on the TCG. Man, I really like what they're doing over there at Davis. So we're gonna make that happen, man. Crawford has been one of those teams in the 4A ranks that maybe people haven't been talking about, but they have some talent. One of the best receivers in the state, Alvin Mosley's a 4-star recruit. Junior receiver. He's one of those guys that you have to see in person. You got to pull up on him. He's the number 17th ranked receiver in the country, according to 247 Sports. He's a baller. I think that this guy has superstar potential. And right now, this team is 8-1 on the season, and they got a chance to win the 12-4A title with a big victory over Navasota this week. I like Crawford. This is a team that I really like, and they got a chance to do something. They won 6 in a row after falling to Belleville in September earlier in the year. They outscored their district opponents 196-43. That's saying something, man. Shout out to Alvin Mosley and Crawford, man. I think that these guys have a chance to make, a run the state if, everything lines up. They made a deep run last year. I think that these guys definitely have what it takes. Now, Marshall's been one of those teams for 9 consecutive years that's been in the playoffs. And listen, they came back. They had a big victory over Texas City last week, 38-10. I think that these guys know that they have what it takes to make a playoff run. Of course, they're in fourth place tie with Santa Fe. We've been talking about Santa Fe this year. If you listen to the show, man, you got to tap in. We've been talking about this, man. Of course, they're in the same district with Randall, who's the number 1 team in the state. You got Iowa Colony and Texas City as well, who's been playing some outstanding football. But Marshall takes on Baytown Lee this week, who, has been struggling this year. They have a chance to get into the playoffs with this. Now, Marshall will get in with a Santa Fe loss to Terry. This is what the Buffs need. They got to get back in there. This will be a scary team in the playoffs if they can get in. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Marshall Buffs, man. They've been doing their thing. Now, we talked about JY earlier, man. Shout out to Jack Yates, man. Shout out what they've been doing. They're undefeated on the season. They got one more game to go, and I think that this is one of those teams that can get on a run. They are super talented. They're focused, and listen, we always gonna show love to HISD here, man. You know what I'm saying? Some of them, maybe other people, look down or don't get a chance to talk about HISD enough. Shout out to JY, man. They're doing their thing. Pearland's undefeated as well. As College Park, which has been a surprise team, they're undefeated on the season. Now, they can get the 13-6A championship outright with a big win over New Caney this week. I think College Park is a scary team that a lot of people are talking about right now. I know that they have one of the best receivers that's been balling out of control this year up there in the Woodlands area. They beat the Woodlands. They beat Willis, who have some of the top players in the state. This is a team that can get hot. I think you got to watch these guys. Keep your eye on them. Of course, Randall. Hey, it's Randall, man. And shout out to my guy, Coach Randall, man. We're going to have to get him on the show as well before the playoffs start. Look for that, man. We're going to try to get these coaches on before the playoffs start. I know that they're super busy. But, man, Coach Randall is a friend of the show, and he's always been great to the TCG. Had us out when he actually got the job at the school, which was, I think, 3 years ago now. He's been doing a phenomenal job. They won a state championship last year. They're undefeated, number 1 team in the state. And they've won 26 games in a row. Dickinson is a team we've been talking about this year. Lorenzo Aguiar's been playing at a phenomenal level. I like Malachi Gamble in the backfield over there. I think Dickinson has a chance to make a run now. Some of the matchups, we're going to talk about that, man. Some of the matchups that could be coming out of this by-district round, man. This might be something we have to pull up on. You know what I'm saying? And I think these guys, have it in them to make a big run. I really like what the Gators are doing over there at Dickinson. And listen, man, I really think that they put together something special over there this year. But listen, man, we're going to take a small break. We're going to come back and talk about ballers and players and ballers right here on the TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron. We'll be right back.
Hey, do you need topsoil, fill dirt, sand, mulch, gravel, limestone, you name it? Do you need that delivered and or spread? Texas Tree Cycle in Victoria has you covered for residential and commercial projects, big or small. These guys do it all. They do some amazing work. You can call them at 361-237-8006 for a free estimate. That's Texas Tree Cycle, bringing quality materials to your yard.
You got to let your players be players and let your ballers be ballers. Let's talk about a few top performances in the H last week. Waller, one of those teams that you definitely got to look out for. The Bulldogs had a big performance by Robert Carter. He's a senior running back. They are in the playoffs. Of course, 4-2 on the season, 6-3 overall in that district over there, and a 52-21 victory over Side Springs, man. 181 yards and 2 tutties, 17 carries in a 16-6A matchup. He did his thing. This is a guy you need to know about over at Waller as they get ready for the playoffs, man. Waller's doing their thing. Shout out to Robert Carter. Theodis Fields, another running back, Side Lakes, was a big workhorse for the Spartans as they picked up a 33-23 win over Langham Creek. Their playoff hopes are still there in 16-6A, but Fields got busy. 205 yards, 2 touchdowns, averaging over 7 yards an attempt, man. They go into their final week tied for 3rd place with Langham Creek and Side Springs. So big games this week. I'm telling you guys, this is the kind of stuff we look for. It's that time of year, playoff seeding, jockeying for position. This is why you got to take care of your games early in the season. Aiden Atkins over at Ridge Point, he did his thing. Another rock toter, peel toter in the running back position for Ridge Point. Of course, Ridge Point, the Panthers are undefeated, 9-0, 6-0, ranked in the state. Won their 6th consecutive district title with a 44-6 thumping of Hightower. Atkins had 135 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's rushed for over 700 yards, 18 tutties on the season, man. Ridge Points, I've been talking about Ridge, man. If you go back and listen to the show, I'm telling you, rewind, and I'm telling you these guys have what it takes to make a run in the playoffs. Ridge Point's Achilles heel has been getting out of that 2nd, 3rd round. They hadn't been able to punch that ticket. This is one of the more talented teams in the state. They got to take care of business this year, flat out. That's all it is. Derek Stevenson over at Paytown's a senior wide receiver who balled out. He's a San Diego State commit. And he helped Payto get a big 44-30 victory over Taylor in 19-6A action last week. 3 catches for 139 yards and 2 tutties with 1 touchdown for 86 yards. Explosive guy. Big time play over there. They are in 4th place, but they got to take care of business this year. They got to take care of business and get in the playoffs. This year, Paytown, the Panthers, hey, it's up for y'all, man. Get in the playoffs this year, man. Stevenson has 813 yards and 13 touchdowns, averaging over 24 yards a reception this year. That's big-time production. That's why he's a San Diego State commit. Travis Turner over at Belleville. The Brahmas with that heavy run game got a big 48-45 victory over Madisonville. They clinch at least a share of 11-4A, the 11-4A district title, man. He rushed for 323 yards, 4 tutties, and 14 yards a carry. Belleville's 7-2, and they're undefeated in that district over there. They got to finish up with Caldwell this week. Turner's rushed for over 1,000 yards and 14 tutties on the season. Now, I had a chance to see Belleville when they played Gilmer a couple years ago, which has been 2 years now in the state title game up at Jerry World. This is one of those teams, if they get hot, they can make another run. That offense, if you're not playing in the right gap sound offense, if you're not playing, they run that option or that kind of wing T, slot T offense is what I'm trying to say. And they can bust you up if you're not gap sound and you're not where you're supposed to be on defense. They got it done, man. Shout out to those guys over at Belleville. They're in the playoffs. And they're going to be dangerous. You know what I'm saying? But let's talk about Week 11, man. We're going to take another small break. Come back and wrap up the TCC. I am your host, Marc Henry, on the Lone Star Gridiron Network. H-Town, we'll be right back.
Coaches, boosters, parents, every sport deserves a spotlight. From football and volleyball to basketball, soccer, baseball, softball, track, wrestling, and more. Give your athletes a weekly coaches show that builds pride and raises funds. Lone Star Podcast Network makes it turnkey. You talk for a few minutes. We handle production and distribution. Sponsors love it. Families share it. And your program benefits. Get the free information kit at LoneStarPodcast.com/coaches. That's LoneStarPodcast.com/coaches. Your team, your sport, your show.
Lone Star Gridiron is looking for interns. Over the years, we have helped dozens of students get jobs in sports media. If you want to shortcut your path to a career in sports media, click on the internship link on LoneStarGridiron.com.
Final week of the regular season, there's a bunch of matchups going on around the H, man. Let's break it down for you. Elkins and Hightower fighting for that final spot. 4-2 in district, Hightower is, and Elkins is 3-3 in that particular district. Hightower, listen, they've already clinched their 9th consecutive playoff berth. Shout out to my guy, Coach Cornelius Anthony over there. They've been doing a phenomenal job in this particular district. They're on their way. They're on their way. I'm telling you right now. They're one of those teams that can get hot. They take on Elkins. Elkins has to win this game to get in. I'm telling you right now. Manville and Dobie. This is a big-time matchup. Of course, Manville 5-2 in their district. 4-3 is Dobie. Dobie in the playoffs in dramatic fashion last year, but they got to clinch this in order to get in, man. Of course, Mansville, is one of those teams that gets hot, man. It's a potential three-way tie in this district between Shadow Creek, Dobie, and Manville. Now, if Shadow Creek loses to Rayburn and Dobie beats Manville, it'll be a three-way tie. But Shadow Creek is one of those teams that, listen, the Sharks can do it. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, we're talking about possible playoff time. You got to get right here. This is how we get into the playoffs, is you got to take care of your business. Coaches know that. Players know that. But Manville picked up a big victory over Dawson last week, 38-31, rushing for 347 yards. Kenneth Malone Hayes had 3 rushing touchdowns. Samuel Weary also had a big defensive game with 11 tackles and 2 interceptions. Right now, Manville owns the tiebreaker, or they own the series. I'm sorry. They beat these guys in the last 5 attempts 4 times. So they're 4-1 against these guys, against Dobie. So, man, I listen, Dobie, you want to get in the playoffs, you got to go through these guys. We mentioned Cy Lakes and Cy Springs, 3-3. This is for all the marbles. This is a big-time 16-6A matchup. Another game you got to keep an eye on. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, this is the time of year where you got to, coaches are telling their guys they got to win this. But I think that, this is a big game, and whoever wins is in. Jordan and Paytown over in the Katy district is definitely a big-time game as well. We'll keep our eye on that one. Iowa Colony and Texas City is another big matchup with playoff implications. Of course, Iowa Colony's in. Texas City is trying to get in, and that's also about seeding. A couple of more big matchups to watch. Milby taking on Spring Woods. Dickinson and Deer Park's another big game. Crosby and Angleton. Wisdom and Chavez, as well as Summer Creek and North Shore. I'm telling you right now, this is probably one of the biggest games. North Shore has a chance to win that district again. They're coming off a big win over Seed King last week. And Summer Creek, they stumbled against Seed King a couple weeks ago. But if they beat North Shore, they send a statement around the H as one of those teams that can make a run. I think they can. Klein Oak and Tomball Memorial, as well as Klein and Magnolia, another big game. Barbers Hill and Westbrook, Sterling and Waltrip. And then, hey, I'm telling you right now, Kincaid and Episcopal, shout out to those guys for getting busy. That's a big game on Saturday. So listen, all the other games will be done Saturday. You got Kincaid and Episcopal. You can't beat that in the H, man. I'm telling you right now. But that's all we got for you today, man. Follow us on Twitter at Third Gridiron. Definitely follow me on Twitter at MarkHenry44 or TXTP Show. That's all we got for you today. Next week, when we come back, we'll be talking about the playoffs in the H-Town. It's going down. I'm your host, Marc Henry, here on the TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron. We're out.
Coaches, boosters, parents, every sport deserves a spotlight. From football and volleyball to basketball, soccer, baseball, softball, track, wrestling, and more. Give your athletes a weekly coaches show that builds pride and raises funds. Lone Star Podcast Network makes it turnkey. You talk for a few minutes. We handle production and distribution. Sponsors love it. Families share it. and your program benefits. Get the free information kit at LoneStarPodcast.com/coaches. That's LoneStarPodcast.com/coaches. Your team, your sport, your show.